before you're moving to London?
So I grew up in Romania, which is like a pretty poor country. It's a third world country. But for me, life was actually pretty good. Like I had the things I wanted. We had a big house. I can't really complain. I saw poverty, but I wouldn't have called it poverty at that point because to me is all I knew. But I had a pretty good childhood. I was close to my family. I wasn't super close to my brother, to be honest, but I was a mama's boy. I still am a mama's boy, to be honest. So yeah, my childhood memories, like they're all kind of fun. You know, I feel very, very privileged looking back at what I had.
From Romania then to UK, all these culture changes.
Yeah. I feel like in Romania, because again, people didn't really have a lot, they formed like bonds a lot quicker. So as a kid, I had a ton of friends. Everyone was really open with each other. Like people were still being judgmental, but you'd never really come across it, or no one really cared how you looked, how you dressed. None of that was even a factor. And then when I came to the UK, especially because I was an immigrant, so I was initially like an outsider completely, I felt like I was judged like instantly. Before I could even speak a word, I was instantly judged for my accent, for the way I dressed, for the things I didn't even know. Like I didn't know how to they have in schools, they have different systems in Romania, like where you go and line up, how you attend, how you fill out the register form. In England, it's just different. So me not knowing that, I got judged for that just because I didn't know. And that was a pretty big shock for me, just because I feel like, I don't know why the cultures are different, but they are. At least for me, from my perspective as a kid. And of course, like the whole restart in my life, having to make friends again. Even things like the kids in my class would talk about like shows or movies or like cartoons from England that I'd never seen. So I could never understand the jokes or like, you know, get in the fun or like understand the group dynamic because I just wasn't a part of it. I was missing like 11 years of jokes, you know. So that was a pretty big shock for me, like trying to relearn that and reaccommodate and like find myself again, like in a completely new environment, you know.
And just your school life on the early time.
Yeah, it was a lot of trying to fit in. There's a lot of being not fake, but not knowing who I was at 11, because one friend group required me to be one way to be accepted, another one required me to be a different way to be accepted. And because I was looking to make friends, in Romania, I already had friends. In England, I was actively trying to make friends. I was trying to please everyone. So I was trying to, one break, I would act a different way with one friend group. And then the other break, literally 45 minutes later, I would act completely different just to be accepted into a different group. And again, I was doing these things, not really understanding like that I was doing them. But it was a lot of soul searching and trying to find myself and trying to understand, okay, well, who am I? Who's Chris, this 11-year-old in a completely different country with a completely like different culture, you know? So that's what I'd say. It was me trying to find myself and find my friends.
How did it affect you as a person until now?
So at a young age, it didn't affect me. I didn't understand what they were doing. I just thought, look, we're gonna move because you're gonna have a better life. I didn't really understood what that even meant. As I was growing up, and it was when I was starting to become friends with other immigrants, that's when I realized, oh, like you gave up so much, you know? And obviously by virtue, my family gave up so much of their lives just for me and my brother. Like you gotta think about it this way, they gave up their friends, their homes, their language, their nationality, their culture, everything they've known for like 20, 30 years. They gave all that up like in an instant just so we could have like a better future. And I think, as I say, as I was growing up more and more and meeting more immigrants and hearing people's stories, like coming abroad from different countries, that's when it clicked. Like, oh, this didn't just happen overnight. This was like a plan for my parents that they had. I didn't come here for free. Someone had to sacrifice something for me to be here, you know. I think it made me very grateful. It made me very grateful because all the blessings I had, all the privileges, like being in a first world country, again, it came from my parents' sacrifice. It gave me pressure, but also a lot of motivation, because now I wasn't just trying to go to university and become a lawyer just because that's what I wanted to do. I was trying to do that because I knew it would give me a lot of money to provide for my family. I was kind of almost seeing it as like a way of, how can I do something with my life where I can give back? That was literally my only goal. I didn't even really care about like my own living standards. It was about like, how can I retire my parents? How can I provide them with holidays or take care of them if something happens? So it made me, like, as I say, very grateful, but also like it gave me a new goal, you know.
How did that happen? Like, tell me the whole story.
I think just being an impressionable kid. Everyone's looking nice. Every man is in a suit talking to like, a really good-looking girl. They've got the cars. They've got like fame, like at least like the status of being a lawyer. And I think it just impressed me. It impressed me how they spoke, how they dressed. what they were working on. Like it was like $1 million deals. So I think I just fell in love with the things around it. It wasn't even law itself, even though I did end up actually really liking law. It wasn't the actual like legal stuff that I liked. It was what came with it, you know, in the shows.
Timeline of how it started, how it ended.
Yeah, so I went to sixth form, got my A-levels, and then I got into the Montfort University in Leicester, which is a law school, a pretty good law school. Got accepted. I was super happy. This was 2 years before my brother got accepted into his, because he was 2 years above me. He went to Nottingham. And I remember the first time he came home, like he was so excited talking about law and like how, like I remember he kept telling me how, because he's gone through it now and had like a couple months on it, he knew that I was gonna love it. Like he's like, Chris, I know now that I've done it myself, I know you're gonna love it. So I was like even more hyped. Like I was already hyped enough because I was like my lifelong dream, but now I was thinking, shit, like if Tony likes it so much and we both love law, like I'm gonna love it. So I was super excited. And then I got into DMU, then Montfort University. First year I did what everyone else does. I partied a lot, had a lot of fun. I still went to my lectures and still like did work, but not as much as I should have. And then I really like locked in for my second year, because that's when you start like getting like a lot of work. Passed my second year, and then COVID hit actually during my third year. So I moved back home, which made me kind of sad, because I felt like the whole point of uni was to like explore myself and be away from my parents. So I was kind of forced to go back. But at the same time, I'm thankful that I had a home to go back to. So I did my third year online, passed, I got my A-levels in that. Not my A-levels, my uni degree. And then I actually went into University of Law, which is like a post-grad master's. It's for LPC, where you become a solicitor. And I did that. That was 2 years. That was all online as well. That was a lot of hard work. I remember that was so much work, because you'd have to know cases off by heart. You'd have to like know legislation from like 25 years ago. And the thing is, you'd never know like what you'd get picked on. Like you'd have to learn like 100 things, and only 10 of them would actually be in the exam, but you never knew what the 10 were. So you'd have to relearn the 100 every single time. So I was super stressed, because as well for that exam, because I did the LPC, you'd have to get, I think it was 87% pass rate or 85% pass rate. So anything below that, you'd instantly fail a whole year. So I just remember working a lot, like really working hard. Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Okay. So let me backtrack just a bit. So he went to Nottingham, and then first 2 months I think he stayed there, came back to visit the family. I was still in my sixth form, so I wasn't in university yet. And he came back and said, "Oh, I love it, Chris, you're gonna love it. Like it's gonna be amazing." I was, again, as I say, already hyped, but that was getting me even more excited. Then he goes, and then after like 4 months or 3 months, I remember hearing my mum cry like a lot. And I was thinking, what's just happened? So I run down the stairs, and my mum is crying on the phone. I'm thinking, what has just happened? I thought someone died in the family. And she told me, your brother is quitting uni. Like he doesn't want to quit, he's already quit. He's just told us, hey, by the way, I've already dropped out. And I remember like looking at her crying. My dad was right next to her. He wasn't crying, but he was visibly upset. And I thought, shit, like only 3 months ago you were here, like telling me, oh, you're gonna love it. Like I love it, you're gonna love it. It's so good, it's literally what we imagined. And then now I'm looking at my mum crying, like she was crying her eyes out. Thinking, what happened? Like why, you know? And the way it affected me, I think it just, at first, for the first couple days, I didn't say it to anyone, but I remember thinking like, oh shit, am I gonna do the same? Like, am I gonna go and I'm gonna have these high expectations, and then I get there and I'm thinking, oh, it's literally nothing like Suits, it's nothing like The Good Wife, it's nothing like I imagined. And for a couple of days, I started to get really worried that I'd do the same, and I obviously didn't want to make my mum cry, make my dad upset, especially because this was like such a goal of mine. And then I thought, like, it kind of, after a few days, maybe after like a week or so, it actually did the opposite. It motivated me. I thought, okay, you know what, out of spite, just to make sure this doesn't happen again to my parents, even if I hate it, I'm going to go through with it. Because I don't want to be on that end of the call and me call my mum and say, hey, look, I'm going to quit, or I have already quit, and then hear her cry. So it was weird. It affected me negatively for like a week, and I was really upset as well, Tony, my brother. I was very upset. But then I was also very worried, more worried than upset, thinking that I was going to do the same. And then, as I say, after like a week or so, I thought, you know what, actually, in spite of it, no matter what I like or dislike about it, I'm going to go through with it, just because I want to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Experience going to the long form with the...
Okay, so for context, my first ever, like, my only ever law job. I got very, very blessed. I applied for a legal advisor in Barclays, which is like one of the biggest banks in the world, let alone in the UK. And just like the assessment training for that alone, like to get the job, it was 8 hours. So it was literally a full shift of just exams and role plays and like group interviews and like being made to like stand up on the spot and speak about certain things. It was 8 hours of that with like a 1 hour break, I think, in between. And out of 25 people, they picked 2 people. Thankfully and luckily, I got picked as one of the 2 people, and then I got the job. And I remember like I went to my mum, I told her, she started crying, but this time it was out of happiness. And then I remember the next day we went to pick out suits because obviously I'm going to go into an office. So we went. I can't remember where we went. I think Boss is a shop. I can't remember. But I tried on like a bunch of suits, and I'm kidding you. It might sound like weird. When I was looking in the mirror in my suit, I was thinking, oh, like I'm Harvey, like from Suits. I was thinking the exact same shit. And it's crazy because so I get the suit. Okay, cool. Then my job started a week later, and then I walked into the office, and not a single person was in suits. I was the only guy. People were wearing nice stuff like shirts or whatever, but no one was in a suit. And I was thinking, okay, well that's not like Suits. And then I go get my training for what I'm going to do, and I was thinking, hold on, this isn't like Suits either. There's no clients. It wasn't a client-facing role. It was strictly over the phones. I wasn't closing any deals. It was all about like debt recovery or like management of debt or like management of accounts. It wasn't like I wasn't generating money for the company. I wasn't closing deals. And the whole like atmosphere of like, you know, like the stylists and suits and like nicely dressed people and good looking girls and money and stuff, that just wasn't there at all. People were just in the cubicle, not speaking to each other, working like a 9 to 5. My boss, I bet you, like, he learned my name just like to say hi to me, and then he forgot it the next minute. And it just, I don't know, it crushed my soul because it literally, and it's my fault for building up in my head, but it was so like different than the shows. It was literally nothing like the shows. And that was like soul crushing. That's literally the only way I can explain it. Like I couldn't believe, I remember I got given my cubicle, I got given my training and said, okay, you're gonna like listen to a couple of calls today and then tomorrow you're gonna start. I said, okay. I logged into my accounts, made all my accesses and whatever, and I was waiting for this, like we called them shadow partners, to like start their work. And I would just literally for a whole day just be quiet and just listen to calls to kind of understand what the job is like. And I remember I was listening to her calls and she was great, but I was just thinking, this is it? And this is what my life dream was. And I was just so like, I don't know, I felt disappointed. I felt lied to, but then I also felt like an idiot. Because like no one told me it was gonna be like Suits. I told myself it's gonna be like Suits. No one said, hey, you're gonna make a lot of money and close a lot of deals. No one said that. Actors said that on a show. And I was an idiot for believing them. So it was just a very weird mix. That whole first week, I just felt, like I said, disappointed, frustrated, and then lied to, but also like very gullible, you know. Okay, so it was a lot of months of working this soul-crushing job, and I feel like every single week it would just get worse. Like I would dread waking up, like let's say Sunday. Like I'd wake up Sunday and I'd think, shit, like tomorrow's Monday, it's the start of the week. I'm gonna have to go back to my little shitty cubicle and do shitty calls with shitty clients, and I was just dreading it. Like I was really, really dreading it. And I was not in a good place. And what was worse about it is I didn't have the courage, again, because I didn't want to disappoint my parents and have my mum cry. I didn't want to do that. So she'd ask me constantly, like, how's it going? How are the people? And I was like, really good, really, really good. Obviously, so far from the truth. And it was so frustrating. It was so like, I don't know, I felt very trapped because I couldn't really tell anyone. I told my friends, but they couldn't really do anything about it. But I had to like live this double lie where I'd go into my work, I would hate it. It was nothing like it was dreamed about, and then I'd come home and have to lie and say it was amazing, you know. And that carried on for a few months. What made me do what I do now, and get into like high-tech sales? What made me kind of have that shift is 2 main things. First of all, I think like most people that probably are watching this, like you have an emotional buffer of like how much you can take of something. After like you gotta think every day, every week, every month for like 3 months or so, I was having this feeling of like, I'm doing something that I don't like, that is a complete disappointment, and I'm having to go home and lie about it for like a couple of hours every day when asked how was your work day, and say, oh, it was amazing, you know, and act all excited. And I'd go into my room and then I'd instantly, like my happy like smile would go into a frown, thinking, shit, like I've got to do it all again tomorrow. So doing that was number 1. Number 2, I realized the money wasn't like anywhere like Suits or The Good Wife. And for me, again, because I come from an immigrant family, money was really important. Not because we never had it or because I wanted it for myself, but because I wanted money to, again, provide for my family. That was always my goal, to kind of give back to them for their sacrifice. And when I realized, yeah, I'm making like £23,000 a year, that's just not going to cut it, especially living in the UK, like where the cost of living is so high, you can't even move an inch without paying like 50 quid for something. I thought, shit, like this isn't, not only is it not for me, it's just not going to allow me to live the life that I want, and it's not going to allow me to give back to my parents in the way that I want it. And that's when I literally looked up like how to make money online, pretty much those exact words, on Instagram, not even on Google, on Instagram. And that's how I found appointment setting. I found like content about it.
With your job?
Okay, so the way I even found it was a coach who's, I won't say his name, but he's no longer in the game anyways because he was a horrible coach. I saw a couple of his reels, and he like said the very typical, oh, are you looking to make like thousands and thousands a day? All you need is 4 hours of work and your phone. Obviously now being in the game, I know that's a complete lie, but I was looking at the reel thinking, oh, this sounds kind of fishy, but kind of good, but kind of too good to be true. And then the reel ends with testimonials. So people saying, oh, I went through such and such course and it was amazing. And I was thinking, okay, that's kind of good. I'm gonna just do it. So I literally I DM'd the guy. We started speaking. He asked me, again, I didn't know at the time, but now obviously I know, looking back, qualifying questions like my income, if I got any money saved up, whatever. I didn't know this. I didn't know what it meant. I just answered it. And then he said, do you want to get on a Zoom call? And I said, well, why do you want to get on a Zoom call? And he said, well, so we can talk about this, like you becoming an appointment setter and making money online. I said, okay, cool, that's fine. So I booked it, didn't tell anyone, and it's for the next day. So I kind of stopped speaking to him, go to bed, cool, I wake up, go to my work, and the whole day I was really thinking about this call because I thought, if this is true, like this could literally be, if I could be one of those kids making thousands of of like dollars a day, as he said it, just from like 4 hours of work and off my phone, like that would literally completely change my life, change my parents' lives, and obviously that would mean that I wouldn't have to go to my law job as well. So the whole day, I wasn't really even doing any work. I was just so mentally focused on this call. So I come home, the call was at like 6 or 6:30. I hop on the call, it goes great. He tells me exactly what I want to hear, and then he says, it's a $3,000 investment. And I go, well, the problem is I don't really have $3,000. I have about half of that, but I don't have the other half. And he said, oh, no worries, we'll do a payment plan. And I go, shit, okay. And then before I can even like really think about it, because it was on Zoom, I get a link, a payment link. And I go, shit. I click on it because he's telling me, I'll click on it, I'll walk you through the steps. I click on it and I see 1.5K. And I remember thinking like, I was so nervous. I was literally like almost shaking. And I remember thinking, at this point, he could have been speaking for ages. I wasn't hearing any of him. I was just like in my own like head, in my own thoughts, thinking, okay, I have two choices. Either like I'm too afraid and I don't take action and I go back to what I know will happen, which is again tomorrow, start again, same job, same situation, or I take this risk, I probably get scammed, but if I don't, and let's say I am one of these kids that makes thousands a day from 4 hours of work with your phone, I completely change my life from one action. So thankfully I decided to go with the second approach where I took the action. So I paid the 1.5K and then the Zoom ended. Well, he told me, look, I'll send you some onboarding like documents and we'll be in touch. Just give me your number. I gave him my WhatsApp and then the Zoom call ended. And then he texted me on WhatsApp saying, hey, like I'll get this done like by either today or tomorrow. Like I look forward to working with you. I was like, yeah, me too. Again, didn't tell anyone. I get into bed to go to sleep and I can't go to sleep. And I'm just looking at my ceiling thinking, I just got scammed. Like I was so certain this guy had no background. I did no checks on him. Like I didn't even look him up. I just said, yeah, take my money. And I was so convinced that I got scammed. And then the next day I go to work. I'm constantly checking WhatsApp, nothing. I go to work, I'm working, whatever. And then I get like a notification on my phone. I check a thing into my friends, it's him with a document, like an onboarding document. I check it on my phone just to see what it is, and then I try and basically fill out as much as I can on my phone. I couldn't do all of it, but then I thought, okay, this actually might be somewhat real. Got home, did the onboarding doc, filled it all out, and then I got access to the videos. He was like running all on Discord, and then I saw other kids in the group. They weren't making that much money. They were making maybe like, I don't know, $300, $400 like a month. But I remember thinking like, if they're making some money, why can't I make more? Like just because they're making $400, like the way I looked at it is, you're proving to me that it works. Maybe not at the level that I want it, but I'm gonna make it work at the level that I want it. It's just that you might not be good enough, you know? But I still took confidence in seeing other people make money because it was proven that it could work. And then I just went into the course. The course was pretty bad, very bad actually. And I remember I was just so hungry to make money that I was kind of like, I was rushed through it. I didn't attend my calls. Like I would schedule a call in that you had to schedule in with the coach, and I wouldn't attend because I was just trying to like do my role plays and get through all the modules and then get to the end stage where you start applying for offers. So I rushed through all of that. He kept telling me, "Oh, Chris, you're kind of like, you're pushing it too quick. You're not attending the calls." I was like, "I know, but I feel like I've learned it all. I just want to start making money." And I got very, very lucky. My first ever offer was like a property offer here in the UK, and they came to me. So I made like a whole setup page, and then they came to me. And then I remember one of the girls, there's two girls, like two property owners who were running this offer. One of the partners said, "Oh, we see that you're a setter, like you got a setup page, you're looking for a role, like do you want to hop on a call to see, because we're looking for setters." I said, "Okay, sure, cool." Mind you, I didn't know how the call was going to go. I'd never done any of this. So I get on the call the next day and she doesn't show up. I go, okay, I text her like, "Are you good? Like what's going on?" Nothing. Okay, I guess I'll find a different role. It kind of made me a little bit like, I remember thinking like, I was constantly like in a battle, like if something went wrong, I'd go back to thinking, "Oh shit, I did get scammed. This isn't real." But then something would go well, like I'd make progress, or I'd feel like I'm understanding the like appointment setting, and I'd go, "Actually, no, it is real." So I was in this constant like battle with myself. So when the woman didn't show up, I thought, "Oh, like this industry isn't real. Like it's all fake. Like there's no such thing as like an actual appointment setter. It's not an actual profession." Then her partner says, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I know she didn't attend. Do you want to book a call in with me tomorrow?" So then I was back to like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna make money. Great." So I get on the call, nothing, no one shows up. And I went back to, "Oh shit, I got scammed again." And then an hour later, this is not a joke, she texts me, "I'm so sorry, my cat had an emergency, so I went to the hospital with my cat. Can we reschedule for tomorrow?" And at this point I thought, I'll say yeah, I'll attend, but this is it. Like I've been scammed, it's not gonna work, no one in this industry is serious, there's no such thing. I get on the call, and then 5 minutes later, and at this point I think she's not gonna show up, she shows up. And we have an interview, and then I get the role. That role, I was on that was my first and only ever setting offer. And I was on that role for about like a year and a half. And in total, I probably made like 70K, 60K from that setting offer alone. But obviously even before getting there, like just my first ever paycheck, as I remember, is for £300, which is not a lot. But for all of that coming from my phone and just setting on my phone, even though I was working so much, because I was working still my Barclays job, and in between my breaks, my friends would go and have food and go on their breaks, I would stay in my cubicle and just like work on my phone, and I'd get home and work on my phone. And I did all of that, and again, it would be like £300, £400, £300 again, sometimes less, and then eventually you'd get into the couple thousands. And that's when I saw that, okay, this is like a real, like I'm not making side income money, I'm making full-time income, yeah, that I could live from. And that's how it started. I mean, it felt unreal. So I never told them about me being a setter until I made, like that was my goal, make enough money to replace my income. So I was making £1,800 from that job, from that law job. I think I made 2.5K or 2.4K in a month, and I never wanted to like only make that much money. I wanted to make a little bit above the 1,800, so I had like a bit of a cushion. So when I made my first, again, 2.4K or 2.5K, I can't remember which one it was, and I got the invoice. I remember this is, again, I'm not joking, I remember looking at it for like 10 minutes, thinking, shit, like this is coming from, like 4 months ago, I didn't have this, I couldn't have had this. And it comes from just one simple like call, one simple like moment where I took action, like even though I was super, super afraid. So I felt very proud of myself because I built this from nothing, you know. I felt very proud, and then I realized this also means that I can finally tell my parents, and I can finally I can feel confident enough to tell them, look, I want to go into this full time and do what Tony did, do what my brother did, which is like quit law, but I'm doing it because I know this path is the better path for me and better path for the family, you know. So I feel like it gave me more confidence to, again, do what my brother did, but do it for the right reasons. Then I went to my parents and I showed them the invoice. And they're like, what just happened? Like they thought it was for my law job. I said, no, this is from my phone. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this is from my phone, right? This is me sending messages to people off my phone. I explained it to them as like I was building like a business where I was talking to like customers, which is kind of true. It's just hard to explain to your parents what appointment setting is. So that's what I said to them. And again, they couldn't believe it. They're like, you're lying, you're not being truthful. So I literally went to my bank account and I would show them the invoices for the last 4 months, just as proof that I've been doing this for a long time. I told them what I never told them because I knew that they would say you're going to get scammed, it's not real. And I was so afraid at that point that it took literally one person telling, I didn't even tell my friends. It would have taken one person just saying, hey, like, you are getting scammed, by the way. And I would have gone, yeah, you're right. And I would have just given up on it because I was so afraid. So to kind of protect myself from saying no, I just didn't tell anyone. So when I told them this, I mean, they were slightly upset that I'd kept this away from them for like 4 months. But at the same time, again, my mum started crying, as she always does for everything, because that was a substantial amount more money than I would ever make working that job. You know, even if I got like a promotion or a raise, like no one was making people 4K in a month from that job. And I told them, look, I want to quit. I'm not going to quit on the spot, but my next goal is 3K. Once I hit 3K, like, I want to quit. And I want to tell you guys ahead of time because I don't want you to see this as like what my brother did. I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm doing it because I'm building myself a career where I'm going to get paid for like my value, not my time, and a career, most importantly, that gives me the opportunity to like provide for all of us. You know, not just myself, but for Tony as well, for my mum, for my dad. And once I explained it to them, they were very accepting. And the next month, I actually did 4.1K, and I quit. I think hard work and learning and like really caring about. I see setting very differently than most people, and I think people think I'm crazy when I say, like, I see it as a skill, like I see it as an art form. And I think because of that, it gives me a very like unique perspective. Like the reason I made so much money on that setting offer, like I closed in a year and a bit. Actually no, my first year I closed 2 mil, just 2 mil, and that's in pounds. Like my highest commissions in a month was like 9 point something or even 10K, 9.7 or 10K, again pounds, because I think I closed 137K or something like that. I think it's because, again, I see it in a very different form. I see it as, first of all, you're not really selling to anyone, you're having a conversation. You're trying to find bottlenecks, pain, whether it's emotional pain, logistical pain. I see it for solving a problem, and I also see it for like what it is, which is you are the only, because obviously I work with closers and dialers, you are the only sales rep that acts as a business owner. The closer can be the best closer on the planet, you'll always be seen as an employee of the business owner. Whereas setters, there's no distinction. For the prospect, the setter and the business owner are one and the same. So because of that, I understood very, very, very early on, like I have to set with that in mind. I'm not setting like an employee, I'm saying as a business owner. You know, so the business owner is a very, very business one, and like very busy one, and she posts a lot of content about like how many teams she manages or how many properties she has. I can't reply to leads within 30 seconds because I know speed to leads is important, but she wouldn't do that. She couldn't do that because she has so many properties. So I would literally copy everything about the business owner and then to kind of inflict that into my conversations. I took that, I made a lot of money. I helped because as the company was growing, we brought on other setters. I helped them as well. And I just got like a natural like kind of passion that I didn't know I had for teaching people. And I did that on the offer, became setter manager on the offer, and then eventually just kind of grew into other offers. And just kind of my whole setting career, even now, I teach what I learn, you know, and I teach what I know. And I just teach it differently than other people, and for some setters it works, for others it doesn't, but for the ones that it does work on, they make a shit ton of money because you're setting how setting was meant to be done, which is again like an art form. And yeah, I think it just came about very, very naturally. Like I went from that to becoming a setter manager. I also consult as well for clients, and I've kind of got my reputation in the space as like the setter guy. You know, like that's why I kind of prioritize and handle.
Why do you do coaching?
2 main reasons. I think a lot of guys are in my position. A lot of guys have the pressure that I had, self-inflicted or not, where they don't want to live like a mediocre life, or even they just want to live a life where they can provide for other people apart from just themselves. And unfortunately, just like the way the world is going and the economy all around the world, normal jobs like a 9-to-5 just isn't going to provide that. Or if it does, you'll be like in your late 50s by the time it does. And I see myself in a lot of those guys. They're very lost. They know they want to make a lot of money. They want to make it for the right reasons, but they don't know how. They're not lazy. They're not stupid. They just don't know how. They haven't got the framework. That's number one, because I see myself in them, and I wish I had that help. But like I said, my coach wasn't good at all. I learned setting for myself. Like the videos were shit. He wasn't even like that accountable. He barely showed up. So I kind of had to make a lot of mistakes in my first offer to learn from it. And it would have saved me a lot of time and made me a lot more money if I had someone actually guiding me. So I want to be that person that I wish I had for those guys. Secondly, for the industry itself, I think setting is dying. I think setting is dying because people don't understand what setting really is. You know, coaches will lie about what you happen to do, the expectations, just to get like people in the funnel and sell them on a bullshit offer that makes them no money anyways. So from the coaching side of things, it's completely like lied about. Then from the actual offer side of things, most setters across most offers are awful, like actually awful. So many business owners doing like 3 million plus per month in cash collected, non-rev. Their biggest bottlenecks, people think it's funnels, it's more marketing, more ads, it's their setters. Like I get paid a lot of money just to order companies, and my outcome is almost always the same. Your setters suck. Because they weren't taught properly by the coach that they paid money to, or for the coach that they paid money for, and then the setter manager also sucks. People don't understand how to set properly, and that it gives me a massive like goal, like a massive motivation, because my passion for me is to really change setting like across the entire industry, because you can make a lot of money from it. You don't have to become a setter manager, you don't have to become a closer. If you feel capped by setting and you're not making the money you want as a setter, that's not because of the role, that's because of your lack of understanding how to utilize the role. And that's like one of the most important things for me, is just changing how setting is done and perceived, and the quality of setting across the entire industry, because people can make a lot more money than they are. A year from now, I wanna have two things. I wanna have the biggest like coaching, like setter coaching mentorship in the world. And when I say biggest, I don't mean most amount of like money collected or cash collected. I want to talk about fulfillment, the amount of guys I've helped. I also want to have this like the way I'm measuring the biggest offer. How many offers have I impacted through my setters? How many offers or offer owners come to me when they think I need a setter? I'm going to go to Chris. Like I want to be known for that, and I want to impact people's lives, both offer owners, but also like my clients, the actual guys investing in themselves to learn setting. I want to grow that, and I want to make sure it's like the #1 setting academy, And again, I'm going to measure that through the amount of lives I've changed, the fulfillment, and also the impact on the industry. And then my second point would be, I think by the end of the year, I want to have helped at least 50 offers dial in the setting completely. So when I say help an offer, I mean have a substantial increase in cash collected from setting alone. And I'm already, I think, just above 27. But that's a big goal of mine. I'm all about impact, like impacting the industry I'm in. And I think having that as my resume, like by end of the year, I've impacted 50 offers, and I've helped them make, 25, 30, 45% more cash from setting alone. I've done that 50 times, I'll be a happy man. Yeah, I'll be proud of myself.